Hi everyone, this is Ida of Created to Create. Welcome back to my channel. If you are not 18 years or older, this video content is not intended for you. Today I want to share with you all, I had some questions about how I extended the Scrapdiva uh, keychain card display. And because I extended mine to be longer for my charm. And someone wanted to know how I did that because some people are visual learners. Sometimes I need to see something visually. I can't, imagine it in my mind because that's where I work things out. So anyway, so I want to share today how I did that. I will put all the links in the description box and also a code that you can use on Scrapdiva Designs website, which is C2C10, which you get 10% off if you use that code, or also the links as well. Anyway, so make sure you use that code so you can get your 10% off. So to create the tab, the keychain card holder, you get two dies in the package. So you get one with the stitch edge and one without. I'll measure these for you. And the largest one measures, I don't know, I'm going to say about 2 1/8 inch from cutting edge to cutting edge in width, and then from top to bottom, and I'm going to go all the way to the top because you are going to need an extended piece of paper. So it's about 6.5 inches from top to bottom. And the one without the stitching, that is the layering piece for this one. It's a little bit more narrow, so that one measures about 2 inches. So this is the layering. The one with the stitching is the base. And to create the extended card, I had to cut two of the base pieces, and all you're going to do is you're going to layer them as long as you need them. You can cut this piece off or not, it doesn't matter. I'm going to cut mine off just straight across because I don't need it. Set it aside. So let's say that this is the charm I want to hang on this card. Now make sure that if you're using the card, that the opening on the hook on your charm is wide enough to fit in here. See, mine isn't. So I would have to trim that little tab down, but I'm not going to because I can hang it through the ring this way. But let's just say I was hanging it from the loop and I needed it to be longer. Actually, even if I hang it from here, I still need it to be longer because it extends further than the tab. So I'm going to create one for this. So what I would do, or what I did with that other one, I cut two and I lined them up and made sure that I knew my card would hang about there. It hangs right above the hole that's already cut into your, sorry guys, the hole that's cut into your tag right there, or tab. Make sure everything's extended. And so that is about right for me. See how the M is the longest piece on there and it doesn't extend further than that? So that's perfect for me. So all I do is I hold these two in place. So if I needed it to be longer, I would just slide this one down. But I don't need it to be longer. But I do need it to be longer than what one piece is. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to glue these two pieces together. And I'm going to do that by, my mat has a lip where I can butt up against. And that way I can line up. But I don't never release these. I just pull this tab forward, grab my glue, and add glue to the upper portion. So there's glue there, and I'm just going to glue it down up here, making sure that it didn't shift. You do not want your the bottom one to shift because you want them to line up. And then I'll just pull up the top portion and add glue to the bottom of the tab. That way it's all lined up nice and neat. And there you go. That's how I extend my my tab. Now, I don't want it to look like this. I am going to cut the layering piece now. Let me just set this aside. This is for one of my friends that loves pink. So I created this. She asked me for it a long time ago and I hadn't done it. So I thought, well, this is a great time to do it. That way I can make a display card for it. So here it is. How do I find out how long I need my layering piece to be? This, we're not going to do it in 2 pieces. This, we're going to do in 1. So if you want this portion of the tab to have designer paper, you will measure it from the edge of that to the bottom of this. That measures 8 1/4. It measures 8 1/4 inch. So that's how I'm going to do mine. I'm going to cut a strip of paper that's a little bit, that's going to measure 8 1/4, and I'm going to line up at the bottom and I'm going to line up at the top. And I'm only going to cut portions. Like, I'm not going to cut this piece all the way up because then I'll get this hole and I'll get this cut. But I will cut it right up to about here because I want to get as much of the, I love the beveled edge that a die leaves. So mine needs to be 8 1/4. So we already figured that out. So I'm going to get a piece of paper, designer paper, and I'm going to cut mine. Oh man, I don't have one. I don't have what I want. Look at that beautiful image. I don't want to cut her up. She's gorgeous. Although, yeah, no, we would have to cut off her face and all that, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to take a pink piece of paper or any type of paper to do that top portion. Or, better yet, I can do it in a gold foil. And then emboss it. Maybe not. Maybe. And emboss it. So I need a strip of paper that measures 8 1/4 inches long by about, I'm going to say 2 1/4 inches wide because I know it's only 2 inches. But let me straighten up my paper. I love embossing on paper. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to say 2 1/8 inches. Let's do 2 1/4. I'm going to do 2 1/4 to give me extra room. And then I need it to be, also I'm going to extend it more than 8 inches. I need it to be 8 1/4 inches long, but you know what? No, I'm going to do it exactly 8 1/4. So cut it exactly the length that you need it to be, because that's going to help you line up. Because all you have to do is line up to the top and to the bottom. So there's that. So I'm going to take the die that does not have the stitching, and I'm going to line it up. I have some beads here that I'm still working on, more dangles, and I have it covered up with my paper so you guys don't see it. So you're going to take your die and you're going to line it up in the center right up to that top edge. And I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine that I use all the time. I'm going to remove this because this has adhesive and my stuff can stick to it. So for this, I'm using my mini impress. This is usually my go-to machine because it's compact, and normally I don't need more than that. So here it is. I'm going to take my die. I'm going to center it right there. I'm going to set it down, and I cut into the magnet sheet because it holds the metal on the die with the magnet underneath, it holds my paper pretty much in place. So that's why I do it that way. I'm going to add my clear plate to the top, and I'm going to run it, but I'm not going to run it all the way down because I don't want it to cut it off. I just want to get as much of the beveled edge before I get to the bottom because I need it to be longer than what it is. So I hope that you can see. So let's run it. And I'm going to stop it before it gets all the way to the end. Right there, I'm going to reverse it. So you can see that it cut, but it didn't cut all the way to the end. You can see the cut edge right there. Now I'm going to slide my paper forward, and I'm going to line this up with the bottom. Right in the center. Making sure to line up right in the center. And I'm going to cut from the top, from the bottom to the top, but not all the way. And the rest, if it didn't cut all the way through, you can just use a paper trimmer if you left a little piece that's uncut. But I didn't want to go too high because of that cut right there. I don't want it in my paper. So that's why I didn't go all the way up. So now I'm going to show you how to do this. So there it is. Let me move my machine. That's why you see the cord running through there because of my machine. So here you can see that it did cut the bottom and it did cut the top, but there's a little piece that's not cut, and I'm just going to take my scissors. I'm not even going to take a paper trimmer, and I could, but it's just a small section, and I think I can pretty much get it right. Yeah. There we go. Come on. Just cut that little piece off. Do the same thing on the other side, and you will just connect the two lines. Come on. Connect the two lines. So this is waste. I don't need that anymore. And it ended up on my floor. So now this has extended my it's got like a this has extended my tag longer than the original die. And I'm just going to punch that out. And what you're going to do with this, you get this one and you line it up. Line up that hole. It looks like it's a little... Nope, there it is. It's perfect. I wasn't lining up correctly. See how this is the perfect length for this, but I want to emboss it. So I'm just going to take an embossing folder really quick and emboss it because I want to show you how you can take these types of dies that don't have any filigree work and take them to the next level just by embossing them. And the way we did this, that's the way you would do the back. You will cut a piece of paper that's 2 1/4 inches wide plus 8 1/4 inches long, and you line up at the top and cut just a portion. Then you line your die up at the bottom and cut up just a portion, and then of course you would have to take your paper trimmer to cut off the edges the way we did. But let's sorry guys, let's emboss this real quick. Let me get one of my embossing folders here and emboss that. I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to take one of my Anna Griffin slimline embossing folders, and I'm going to run it through my machine, and I'm going to use my hand crank one. Because this tag is pretty long, you do want to put it into a longer embossing folder. I have to move my chair. I have to move everything, guys, when I'm trying to do something, because my work area is not that big. Okay. And normally I wet the paper when I emboss it, but not in this case because it wouldn't hold the water because it's a metallic. It's metallic paper, so it wouldn't hold the water like regular cardstock would. So I didn't miss it for that reason. Now, if I could get it to go into my machine, we'd be in business. I think I need a stand. Yeah, I don't think that was enough. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, guys, because my embossing folder wouldn't go through, but I wasn't removing one of the shims that needed to be removed. For the Anna Griffin ones with the Big Shot, you have to remove the green, what do you call them? The green shim to emboss. There we go. I act like it's my first rodeo, you guys. I always emboss. Okay, so here is the, look at that. How gorgeous is that? But it does become very delicate, but it's okay because we're going to layer it up on that other. It even looks like it tore it some, to be honest. But because we're going to layer it, the pressure on my machine, I think, is a little too much on my Big Shot, because it did cut a little piece off because this is a 3D, but I have it there and no one will ever see because I'm going to glue it back in place. So I'm going to add glue to this. You can see where it cut some of those pieces, but they didn't fall off completely, so I'm able to glue them back in where they go. Make sure you have plenty of glue, especially when you emboss, because when you emboss it, you have all these dips in your paper, and it might not, don't fall off. It might not glue correctly. Okay. So I'm going to line this up with the hole that's up there. So you line up both holes, and pretty much that's what you have to do. And then there we go. So the little piece that fell off, I'm going to glue it back in its spot. Here's one that fell off. And you won't even be able to notice that. Normally, when you do this, it shrinks the paper. In this case, I think it kind of stretched it some, because before it was shorter, and I know I'm lined up perfectly because the hole right there is lined up perfectly. So it stretched it a little bit, but that's okay. I mean, you could trim it if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm going to add that little piece that fell off. I'm going to put it back where it goes. There. Look at that. So just be careful when you're embossing that the pressure isn't too much. Now, in order to do the back, we have to do the same thing. And I'm not going to do it right here on camera because you already saw the way I did the front. And you're going to do the exact same thing for the back. But I'm going to do it in white paper. And after you do that, after you have your layer here, for your back layer, you can cut this portion off. There is a little score line there. Cut that portion off. That way it doesn't make this piece thicker, because this has to go through the hole. So this has to, it's got a score line right there, and you would fold it on the score line right there. And then you would glue it in place, add glue right there, and this little tab, you would push it through that opening. Let me get it. you would push it through that opening, and this is the part that would hold down. Oh, that's gorgeous. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Look at how gorgeous that is. So that if you add more bulk to this top piece, then it makes this little tab shorter. And you want as much room as you can have, especially if you're using a thicker lobster claw clasp. You want as much room as possible. And then you would just add a little dab of glue there, and you would glue it in place. And look at that presentation, you guys. I hope that this helped out. For those of you who needed help with that part of the extending a visual on how to extend the keychain display card, but that's how I did it. And you can't even, if I remove this, because of the layer on top, you can't even tell that these are actually two pieces glued together, because when we did the top portion, we did it in one single piece. And I have gotten some very beautiful results. Again, be careful when you emboss, because you know, if your machine has too much pressure, it is going to break through the paper, as mine did. But I was able to glue everything back in place, and it's gorgeous. So just be careful with that. But other than that, that's how I did it. Thanks for watching. I hope everyone is having a great day. And remember that all the links will be in the description box. And I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.